Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the final installment of the Axis and Allies 1942nd edition tutorial for a while. I realize that after this episode there still will be some uncovered portions of how to play the game, but I'm going to have to ask you guys to be patient, because this summer I'm not going to be able to make any videos at all, because I am going to be gone the whole summer. I'd rather keep where I'm going kind of under wraps, but in short, I won't be back until at least September. And by then, hopefully I'll be able to upload the last episode within a month, and then I'll start uploading strategy videos next year. I would like to maybe upload one strategy video before I go, because strategy is what people really care about in this game, and I understand that. For example, what move should I do as Germany first turn, or what should I buy, where should I move, etc., etc. If I can manage to get out one of those videos, great. If not, oh well, there's always next year. But anyway, in this episode, we'll be talking about the order of play, but more specifically, the purchasing of units, combat movements, and the conducting of combat.
As introduced in the last video, these next 2 or 3 videos will be covering the order of play, which consists of 6 total phases. Phase 1, purchasing and repairing units. Phase 2, combat moves. Phase 3, conducting combat. Phase 4, non-combat moves. Phase 5, mobilizing purchased units. And Phase 6, collecting income. This video will be tackling phases 1 through 3. After you've set up the board and decided on teams, it's time to start the game. As you know from last episode, Germany is the first one up. Before we declare any attacks we want to make as Germany, we need to decide what we are going to buy. In deciding this, it largely depends on what long-term strategy we are going to take with the country. To make these purchase decisions, we must consider what we might also lose in our attack phase, and buy units to replace these lost units. Any money you want to allocate to future strategies, such as if you were preparing for an invasion of Russia after France falls, should be dedicated to units you think might help in your future strategy. Going with our plan of invading Russia after France falls, you might want to add some extra tanks and tactical fighters to the Eastern Front. A good rule of thumb for every turn is buying infantry. Infantry are cheap and prevent your expensive and valuable units from dying off. Tanks are twice as expensive as infantry to replace, and planes are 2 to 3 times as expensive. Having a good infantry buffer is always a good idea. So let's say you thought about your attacks and you have what you want to buy laid out in the mobilization zone. Germany has 30 IPCs to start the game, so you buy 4 infantry and 3 tanks. Now that you have what you want to buy laid out, you can begin declaring your attacks. The combat phase. The combat phase is one of 2 movement phases in Axis and Allies, the other occurring after the combat phase is fully complete. You can move as many of your units as you want into enemy-held territory in an attempt to take it. When attacking a territory, however, you should consider if you can take the territory safely or not, meaning you won't lose all your units in the attack, and you'll get the territory in the end. Also taking into account if you can hold the territory. Before we discuss combat, we need to understand how the units work better. We'll cover this briefly, seeing as though going into an in-depth analysis of each unit would take far too long for a video of this caliber. I will, however, put a description of each unit type in the description section below. Cost, attack, defense, and movement are all key elements in each unit's abilities. Cost is how much it costs for your nation's economy to produce a unit. The more capable a unit, the more it costs. Attack is a unit's ability in confronting and destroying the enemy. Units with higher attack levels have a much greater chance of destroying enemy troops, and thus gives your army a better chance of capturing territory so you can get more money to make an even better army. Defense is a unit's ability to confront and stop enemy advances on your territory. Units that are defensively capable are generally less expensive than offensively capable units. Movement. Movement level indicates how far a unit can move in one turn. Quick movement allows forces to get to the front more quickly, but generally costs more than units which only move one territory a turn. Understanding the strengths and weaknesses and bonuses of each unit, such as with submarines, aircraft carriers, and so on, will help you a lot in playing the game. Part of understanding these units cannot always be understood through just watching a video. Getting in the rough and playing the game yourself is the best way to learn the details and the strengths and weaknesses and bonuses of each unit. I will give a short synopsis of what each type of unit is good for. Infantry are a good backbone for land armies, while tanks and artillery offer good attack bonuses. Mechanized infantry and tanks offer good mobility, meaning they can rush in and support territories that are under the threat of enemy invasion, and give you extra manpower you might need in an upcoming attack. AAA guns offer no attack or defensive power, but can instantly take out enemy aircraft attacking a territory. This means they're great for defending territories that have lots of economic value. For naval fleets, destroyers are a good baseline for any fleet, while battleships offer fantastic attack power. Aircraft carriers, on the other hand, offer both good defensive and offensive power if they're carrying aircraft aboard them. For air fleets, fighters are great for defense, while tactical fighters help ground units achieve their offensive objectives better. Strategic bombers offer fantastic attack power, hitting at a 4 and below. However, they offer very low defensive power, striking only at a 1 and below. In short, strategic bombers are good in mass attacks on enemy land units, or in bombing enemy facilities. Now that you have a good idea of what each unit's statistical abilities are, we can move on to combat. The combat phase is a chronological order to be followed with 3 general phases. Phase 1, strategic and tactical bombing raids. Phase 2, amphibious assaults. And Phase 3, general combat. We'll cover each of these briefly, however we'll tackle general combat first, seeing as though it's the groundwork for how Axis and Allies functions. General combat is the baseline for how Axis and Allies functions and consists of 6 sequences. Placing units along the battle strip, submarines either surprise attacking or submerging, which only applies to sea battles, attacking units fire, defensive units fire. After attacking and defending units fire, each side will remove lost units from the board. If the attacker decides to press the attack, these phases will be repeated until combat is concluded, meaning that all offensive or defensive units in the territory have been killed. Once either side has won, the combat is concluded. With the sheet of paper, you can tell how many dice you're going to roll and how many hits you need total to destroy the enemy completely. Also, keeping track of hits is much easier with pen and paper. Before general combat begins, the anti-aircraft guns get to fire at any aircraft they can. One anti-aircraft gun can only handle up to 3 aircraft. If the anti-aircraft gun gets a 1 on any of its rolls, then one plane must be removed before general combat begins, and it cannot participate in the battle. With this battle, it looks like we didn't get any hits. Sucks for the French. I'll speed through this part, seeing as though it's a little bit tedious, and you get the general idea pretty well. Seeing as though Germany has so many tanks, aircraft, and infantry heading into France, it's extremely unlikely the French will win this battle, so it's tipped in the Germans' favor. Now that the Germans have won, we can place the German territory marker on France. Since the territory of France has the French capital, Germany gets all of the French treasury's economy that turn. If you're playing the global edition, that's an additional 19 IPCs to the German treasury. Quite the feast. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately I wasn't able to finish this video in time, so what I can present to you today is part 1 of episode 3, which covers the value of units, how one should go about buying units by considering strategy, what you'll lose that turn, and in unit capabilities. And we began to tackle the conducting of combat by looking at general combat first. By learning general combat, we essentially learned the backbone of Axis and Allies, and can now begin to understand amphibious assaults and strategic bombing next time when we cover it. What we did not get to in this video was a more in-depth look at what facilities did, what strategic and tactical bombing looks like, and what amphibious assaults look like. In part 2, we'll do a more comprehensive look at everything we've learned this episode, and we'll get into things we didn't quite get to this episode. Thanks for your time. I hope you have a great summer, and I will see y'all later. Ciao.